AAA gaming, folks. You gotta love it. The Star Wars Outlaws situation has been, well, anything less than ideal for Ubisoft with this title. Now, when the game was first unveiled, there was already people that were not happy with it, but I was someone that I thought was very fair about the game. I didn't completely write it off like a lot of people did. I thought there was some potential here. I do like classic Star Wars stuff, so I was interested in this game. Now, of course, we got some gameplay reveals. Not everything looked great, but that's fine. You know, maybe that was just a bad segment of the game. And I, of course, reviewed this game earlier this week as the review embargo did go up on Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Now, make sure you guys check out my full review of the game if you happen to miss that. It's a long video, but I go into all of the issues that I have with this game. But surprisingly, it seemed like I was on the lower end of the totem pole. A lot of people seemed to really enjoy this game. There were some pretty high scores that I saw for this game as well, and the general overall feel from most mainstream publications was a lot higher than my feeling was. Which is fine. I get it. It's all a subjective thing at the end of the day, but I didn't expect to necessarily see that many high review scores, and we'll talk a little bit about that as this video goes along. However, this game hasn't even officially released like for everyone yet. There are people playing it, but the game is not officially released for everyone, and there's already major problems to the point of where if you have a save file, you need to go ahead and delete that save file. So what's going on here? This email has been going out to people who pre-ordered or got a specific version of Star Wars Outlaws coming directly from Ubisoft. Hello, and then they scratch out the name. To best experience the Outer Rim, we rolled out a maintenance to make sure everyone is playing the latest version of the game. As one of the players affected who had access to an older version of the game, we're aware you might be encountering some issues after this recent patch. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. To resolve this issue, please make sure you are playing version 1.000.002. Here's how to check your version. And they basically tell you how to check your version for the PlayStation 5 version. Once you've confirmed you're using the latest version, please start a new save file to enjoy Star Wars Outlaws as our team intended. If you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. Well, RGT, you've already said that the game isn't officially out there yet. So what's the big deal? You know, if a reviewer or someone playing on PlayStation 5 that got an early copy or something, you know, that's not a huge deal. However, because in theory, sure, that kind of makes sense, even though there's something else that goes along with that we'll talk about. However, you have to remember something. If you got the super deluxe expensive version of Star Wars Outlaws, you got early access to the game. So you might have stayed up all night playing for 5 or 6 hours of the game, and now you're finding out, oh, your save file's corrupted. We need you to update your save file. Did anybody bug test this game? Did you put all the money into the marketing for this game, and you were just like, well, we'll just throw it out there. Fingers crossed, hope for the best. And now you kind of got to wonder some other things about this game, because obviously this is a major problem, and this is something that won't affect most people because most people are going to have the game when it releases for everyone. I can't imagine that many people signed up for the early access copy of the PlayStation 5 version, but even one person is way too many to have this affected by. But here's the thing. When you got a review copy of this game, you got to choose what platform you wanted it on. And everyone went through the same channel that I did. It's a website that Ubisoft has. It's called Ubisoft Creator Program. Lifting the veil because, you know, it is what it is. It's what you actually do. When you signed up to show interest that you wanted to review this game, you had to choose which platform you wanted. I chose Xbox Series S or X. You could choose, you know, Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. If there's a major bug with the PlayStation 5 version of this game, you know, if there's a major bug that limits progression, how did the people playing the PlayStation 5 version of Star Wars Outlaws actually review it? because this is not something that seems to be very isolated. It literally says if you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers, meaning that that's not something that's just a random thing. That's not isolated incidences. That is actually something that will be happening throughout your adventure with this game. So I kind of question how many people rolled the credits before doing their review. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even necessarily saying that you need to roll credits to do a review on something. My Castlevania video that I did yesterday, I didn't roll credits on anything, but I'm very familiar with the 3 games that are on there. It's a retro compilation, and I'm not presenting it like a definitive review with a score, stamping it. It was just my experience with the game. Sometimes I complete games and then make a video on it. Sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on what style of game it is and really what style of video I'm doing on it. But I will be perfectly honest with you guys. When it comes to the Xbox Series X version of Star Wars Outlaws, all of those, achievements that you get, those numbers were all like 0.005. Everything that I was getting. Now, I beat the game on Saturday because I powered through that sumbitch. I didn't do many side quests because there's not a reason to do side quests in the game. You don't need all this extra money and stuff like that because you just don't need it unless you want cosmetic stuff. But my thing is like, how are we reviewing this game so high when there's clearly bugs, there's clearly issues, and the PlayStation 5 version of the game until now was broken? But I want to extend beyond that. Because I have seen some very, very interesting takes on Star Wars Outlaws on social media. Now, if you like Star Wars Outlaws, you enjoy the game, you enjoy the gameplay, I'm not going to try to make you feel bad about that. People should be able to play whatever game they want to play. And if they like, how many bad games do I love? Friday the 13th on the Switch. The average person thinks that game is dog water. I think it's amazing. I love that game, and I love my time with that game. I play that game way too much than the normal person. So I don't care if you like a certain game or you dislike a certain game. I'll never, at least purposefully, I'll never try to make someone feel bad for liking something because I think that's corny as hell. However, when it comes to people justifying their like for it, and these people are people that are reviewing the game or talking about the game, and when your words are very perplexing to me, I kind of have to question things. I've seen a lot of people on social media. Here's one thing that just stuck out in my mind that I saw. Some person that works for a video game website. We're not attacking people here, by the way. I just want to analyze their train of thought because I don't agree with it. I saw someone say the gunplay isn't very good and the stealth isn't very good. But Nyx is a really cool character, and I like Sabacc, which is the card game in the game that I didn't even talk about because there's one time where you have to play Sabacc with some high rollers, like you're forced to learn the game, and then it's always optional. And once again, I don't need money. I don't need credits for anything because, like, I'm fine playing through this game. It's not extremely difficult or anything like that. But you like the mini game, and you like the Nyx character. So it's a good game. I saw a lot of people saying things like, I don't necessarily like the game, but I want to support it because I want more Star Wars games in the future. And that to me has to be the most bizarre line of thinking I've ever heard in my life. It's the same sort of thing with Concord. People are saying you need to support Concord so you get new IPs and new things. So I propose this question. Let's say a new restaurant opens up in your town and it's your favorite type of food. Hot dogs, hamburgers, Italian food, Japanese food, tacos. It's pretty much all I eat. Let's say it's an Italian joint and you finally got an Italian joint right down the street from you, and you're very happy about this. You go to this restaurant, and you have a horrible meal, absolutely disgusting. Are you going to go back to that restaurant and try it again because because you want them to stay around, or are you just gonna not go to that restaurant anymore? I don't understand how the video game, and it seems like this is just a video game industry problem, and this is also something I want to make a completely separate video on. I don't know if I'm going to do it, so I'll just kind of briefly mention it in here, and if people resonate with it, maybe I'll do the whole thing. But the video game industry is the only entertainment industry where people will buy something and people will support something that is not good just because they feel they need to. You're a consumer. You dictate what these companies do. And unfortunately, somewhere along the way, these companies tried to flip that script. They tried to make it to where they control what you're going to play. And if you don't like it, well, that's just too bad. But now you're starting to see a lot of games fail. You're seeing games like Concord fail. I can't imagine Star Wars Outlaws is going to hit their expectation marks for sales when it comes to this game, because of the fact that it probably has to sell a lot. This is a Disney property, multi-platform. You have to imagine they're thinking 15 mil plus on this. They didn't even have Star Wars music in this game. The Star Wars theme never plays. I forgot to mention that in my video. I talked about Mos Eisley Cantina, but the Star Wars theme never plays. And we talked about this on Game & Talk the other night. And Celia was saying how it's, you know, down to licensing issues and stuff like that. And like, I get it, but maybe you should have taken some of that that marketing money and put it into the Star Wars game to make it feel more Star Wars-y. I want to close on this. I watched some people's reviews on it, both positive ones and negative ones. I saw Mr. Matty Plays, didn't like it. Greg freaking Miller, of all people, agrees with me on this. What timeline is this? Like, we usually don't agree on video game stuff. He did a really good job on that WWE show about the Hasbro figures. Like, I enjoyed that. But usually when it comes to video game stuff, we're on two separate planes. But he didn't even really like the game. I want to close on this, though. Like I said, I'm watching a bunch of reviews, and I watched the internet's favorite person right now, Dreamcast guy. I jumped around his video and watched it. And I saw something. He said something very, very interesting in his video that really resonated with me. And it made me think about why I didn't like the game, because it was something that the game does that he liked. He said in his video, and I'm just paraphrasing here, this isn't an exact quote. He said something along the lines of, I like this because you feel like someone who actually lives in the Star Wars universe and not someone who is a main character in it. Not the average person who lives on these planets and stuff like that. And he liked the game because of that. And I realized I didn't like the game because of that. Because who gives a shit about the NPCs within the Star Wars universe? Who cares? You don't watch a Star Wars movie to see NPCs. You don't play a Star Wars game to play as some rando who's not interacting with the main players. And maybe that's kind of the vision that they wanted to do with this game. A Star Wars game set in a Star Wars universe that doesn't use any of the main Star Wars people in it. Because really, there's two people that are featured in this game that are from the timeline of the movies from when this is set in. Two people. And you don't really do shit with either of them. You talk to one, and the other one talks to another character while you might be in the room or you're watching a cutscene. Beyond that, like, is there enough? Like, why not use more of the Star Wars license? Because you were too busy with your marketing budget, not bug testing your game, and just putting it out there. God, this industry sucks. And there's so many freaking cheerleading frauds in it. I care about developers too. Okay? It might not seem like it, but I care about developers. I don't want these people to lose jobs and be homeless and all this sort of stuff. I don't want that. However, if they produce a bad product, it's still a bad product. I'm not going to support them out of sympathy. I'm a consumer. Okay? At the end of the day, we are the consumers. And when people start to realize that again, and people start to understand that again, then the video game industry will have to shift and realize, hey, a suit can't call the shots. We got to make what the fans want. We got to do what the fans want us to do, especially with bigger AAA games that cost, millions and millions and millions of dollars that if you don't sell millions of copies of, you're going to fall flat on your face. These are just my thoughts, though. You might feel completely different. And if you do, that's cool, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end of this video, too. I'm just one person. I'm just one man. I just look at things from a different perspective than some people do. Some people agree with it. Some people don't. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section down below, though. Like I said at the start, make sure you go check out my Star Wars Outlaws review that highlights a lot of problems with this game and a lot of things that I didn't like with it. It's not the worst game ever, but if it ain't, don't be spending no $70 on it. You wait for that Black Friday sale, Chief. $30, $40, you're a Star Wars fan. Okay. You might get some enjoyment out of it. $70? And shout outs to all you PlayStation owners who picked up the Super Deluxe Edition. Ubisoft hates you, but, I love you. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share, hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.